another aspect. You will see the second first order condition would be u1 minus lambda p1 equals 0, right? So what would be lambda? Lambda would be u1 over p1. Is that right? And also, for the first order condition, lambda would be u2 over p2. Do you remember this kind of ratio? The last $1 can give us how much utility, marginal utility, right? The marginal utility we may derive from the last $1 if we put the last $1 on put 2. This would be the marginal utility for the last $1 if we put that dollar on good 1. So they must be the same. They must be the same. They must be equalized. And we call it lambda. Do you remember I said lambda, this variable, measures the marginal utility because our objective is utility, right? So lambda is actually the marginal utility of the resource, right? What is the resource? Our income. Okay? And our income is something about dollars. So how much money do you have? Oh, I have $500. Okay, dollars. So the marginal utility, which means the last $1 of your income, can give us this marginal utility, okay? So lambda is the marginal utility from the last $1 of the income. So it's the same thing about this too, right? It's actually the same thing here. The interpretation. So lambda, once again, lambda is the marginal utility of our resource. And our resource is about income, about dollars. So it would be the last $1, the marginal utility we may derive from the last $1. Be it put on good 1 or good 2 must be the same. Okay? So the last $1, you got to have the same marginal utility, either on x1 or x2, good 1 or good 2. So got the math, okay? You will see from this equation or from this equation, from this relationship or this one, we have different interpretation. So from here, it's like something about the slope. So this point, which is tangent by the indifference curve and the budget constraint, and the slope of the indifference curve would be MRS. The slope of the budget constraint would be MRT. So they are the same. From another angle, another perspective or viewpoint, we have lambda equals u1 over p1, u2 over p2. And the interpretation here would be the last $1, the utility level, the marginal utility we may derive from the last $1, be it on good 1 or good 2, must be the same. Okay? Any question? I'll give you some seconds to digest. Think about this. So you must assure yourself that you know what does it mean MRS equals MRT, and what does it mean U1 over P1 equals U2 over P2 equals lambda. And right before the break, I'll tell you something about this first order condition. U1 equals lambda P1. Okay, what do you think U1 is? What do you think U1 is? It's a marginal utility, right? It's a marginal utility of good 1. Okay? So how may we define U1? It's a marginal utility, so the utility we may derive from 1 extra unit of good 1 we consume, right? 1 more good 1, and we can increase the level or the size, we can increase our utility, the total utility. So it's a marginal utility. And the unit of this term would be utility, right? Our happiness, our utility. Okay? So it's about utility. And P1 is a price, the price of good 1, right? So it's the unit of P1 would be dollar. So something about money, something about happiness, how can they be equalized? So we use lambda to make them can be communicate with each other. Okay, how can we do that? Don't forget how do we interpret lambda? The marginal utility of the last $1, right? The marginal utility of the extra $1. So lambda is the marginal utility by extra $1. And now how much extra dollar we have? So if we want to consume 1 more unit of a good, we want to consume 1 more unit of good so that we may have MU1, right? This is by 1 more unit of good, by 1 more unit or 1 extra unit of good. If you want to have 1 more bowl of beef noodle, 1 more slice of pizza, you have to pay the price for it, right? So this is the total amount if you wanted to have 1 more unit of good. This is the price you have to pay, which means this much money you have to pay. And for each dollar, you may have this marginal utility. So if the beef noodle costs $200, then for each dollar, the marginal utility is lambda. So $2,000 would be 2,000 times of lambda, right? So then it would be the marginal utility of 1 more unit of good, which is U1. Get it? Once again, if you want to have 1 more slice of pizza, you got to pay P1, right? So for example, if 1 more slice of pizza is $50, but for each dollar, the marginal utility would be lambda. So now 1 more slice of pizza, you got 50 times of lambda. So U1 equals 50 times of lambda. Is that clear? The marginal utility derived by 1 extra unit of good. This is by 1 extra unit of dollar. So the good cost $50 or $200. You just multiply the price, multiply lambda by the price, you've got this. Is that clear? Alright, so it's 10:52. Let's meet at 11.5, okay? Lambda is the marginal utility of the resource, right? The resource is not composed of dollars. So the one more unit of the resource, you may have the margin.